recent cave rescue. So this would be a really good case study in seeing this situation unfold, where we recently had those, 12 boys in it was a soccer team in Thailand. Really remarkable rescue that happened. And boy, when I first saw this situation and saw that these kids were trapped in this cave, especially when you saw the layout, they were like 2 miles in, and it was half filled up with water, and they were about half a mile underground. Especially when I looked at the astrology, I thought to myself, this is going to be a horrible tragedy. Like, there's no way they're going to get these kids out. Especially when I also looked at the astrology, because it did not look good. It looked like a miracle. I mean, you really talk about a miracle. It was almost inconceivable to me. I almost thought of doing a video, but I would have done a video that would have said, I don't think it's going to work out. And I didn't want to make that video, but it did. And I'm going to first show you, I was actually going to do a video that just showed why this was happening, but then it's hard to make that video without making some sort of prediction. And then I didn't want to make the prediction, so I just didn't do it. Anyway, a little bit of my history with these kinds of things. But this is the chart of when they started bringing them out. Now, I think it was first reported that they were stuck around, I think it was July 2nd or 3rd or something around this time, is when it was first reported that they were first reported missing. And the main feature is that this Mars Ketu in Capricorn. And the Mars Ketu in Capricorn they were discovered on Monday, July 2nd. That's what I thought. This is July 2nd. So they were discovered on Monday, July 2nd. They had disappeared into the cave like a couple days earlier. And you could see that they disappeared into the cave, God darn it, on, it was a couple days earlier. Sorry, I'm looking at a news report here. It said they were discovered, they were discovered Monday, July 2nd, having spent 9 days without fresh water or food. So when they were discovered on July 2nd, they had already been in there for 9 days. Okay, so that would have put it somewhere over here. Let's go back 9 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days. So this is when they first went in. So it would have been around June 23rd. That's when they went in. So when the moon joined this retrograde Jupiter, so I'm actually just figuring this part out for myself right now as we speak. And so this is when they first went in and then got lost. Moon joined Jupiter retrograde, okay? This Mars Ketu in Capricorn has to do with the cave. So they were discovered on July 2nd, and then the rescue started on July 8th. This is when it started, okay? So, and as you see, that's like 2 weeks after they went in. So the reason Mars Ketu it's actually Scorpio and Capricorn are most related to caves. Scorpio and Capricorn are most related to holes in the earth, underwater things, being underground, and especially a mountain cave has very much to do with Capricorn energy, because Capricorn is a mountain, and then the hole under it, you could really see in this situation, because we have both Mars and Ketu in Capricorn. Mars and Ketu, the rulers of Scorpio, are in Capricorn. So Capricorn is mountains. Mars and Ketu both have to do with drilling down into the earth and creating a hole in the earth. This is why Scorpio has to do with holes. It literally even says in Brihad Parashara Horosastra, Scorpio lives in holes. It's literally right in the description. Residing in holes. That's Scorpio. Scorpio goes off in their little hole. Literally, a scorpion hides in holes. That's literally where they live. But so, for example, Scorpio, though, is also water. So with Scorpio, it's literally like holes, even like a manhole cover that goes down, that starts on flat earth and then goes down. That's much more like Scorpio. Or when you see like an oil rig platform or drilling down into the earth, like drilling out a well, drilling a well down into the earth and boring into the earth like a drill and drilling out a hole, that's Scorpio. And of course, it's also Mars, because it's the ruler, and Ketu, which is the other ruler. So you can see these sharp objects drilling down into the earth is related to Scorpio. That's why Scorpios live in holes and they drill and create a hole in the earth. But a cave, like a mountain cave structure, has to do with Capricorn, because Capricorn is a mountain, and then you have a cave inside the mountain. So now you have this orifice inside a mountain. This is why Capricorn has to do with mountain caves, or caves, which is a hole in a mountain. So you can see that clearly shown, this energy coming together with this Mars Ketu in Capricorn. So as soon as I saw this being reported, as soon as I saw this news story being reported on July 2nd, that these kids were found in Thailand, trapped in this mountain cave, immediately I was like, oh, Mars Ketu. And because Mars was going retrograde back toward Ketu, I thought, man, this doesn't look good. Like, oh my God, these kids are trapped, and they found them, which was good news. But then I thought to myself, boy, this doesn't, even before I looked at the astrology, or even before I heard the scenario of what they were up against, because they could have just found them in the cave, and they could have been, 200 feet in the cave, and you got to deal with a little bit of water and then you get them out. But that wasn't the case. So even when I first heard about it, before I even knew the circumstances, in my mind, I was like, oh man, I bet this isn't going to work out. And then I heard the story of what they were up against, 2 miles in, with these flooded passages, pitch black, freezing cold water with these tides. These are kids. They don't even know how to swim, some of them. And there was really no easy way to get to them. I thought, these kids aren't going to make it, especially with typhoon season coming. But they did. They got them out. A miracle. So what happened? Well, this is the day that it started. This is the day that the rescue started, and it was last Sunday. And we were moving toward this eclipse. And so a couple things are happening here. First of all, Jupiter is stationary direct. So when the planets change direction, they station, and they like stop. Their degrees in the sky sort of stop. So you can look at Jupiter, even though it's retrograded, he's really stopped in the sky. So even if I go back like several days, you won't see his degrees change like hardly at all. 1915, see it's stuck at 15, 16, 18. Like not moving at all. It's like just kind of stuck there. 19, 19, 16, 15, 15, 14. Now 13, barely. Now the R goes away and it starts to move. And again, you're seeing this 1/10 of a degree here. So Jupiter is what's called stationary direct. So he had been going retrograde. Now he's stopping. He's about to start moving forward again, but he's stationed. It's called stationary direct. So the whole time this was going on, Jupiter was stationary direct. So that's a benefit. It started, you can see when it started on the 23rd, Jupiter was 1942. So Jupiter was still moving about 0.3 degrees. But then you see as this saga wore on, Jupiter slowed down to a pure kind of station. You can see here he's 1922, 20, 19, 18, 16, 15, 15, 14, 14, 13, and then he moves direct. So he's basically stationed in one spot. So this means that the planet gets very powerful when it's stationary. It's not moving. So what happened is they got lost when the moon joined stationary Jupiter, but Jupiter was still moving retrograde a little bit. With the retrograde Jupiter, they got stuck. And then right when Jupiter was moving forward, on the last day of the rescue, Jupiter had just started moving forward. This July 10th is when they finally finished it. And by the next day, Jupiter actually had started a little bit of forward movement. So you see the moon hit this exact Jupiter opposition, right? On the day that they began the rescue. Of course, that's a great blessing to get a Jupiter aspect. Jupiter is also aspecting the sun. The sun had just passed over this. So Jupiter's aspect even on the sun is also quite powerful. So Jupiter gives this blessing here. And it's not just giving the blessing, but again, the moon passes over this aspect. The moon moves very fast, and you can see these hours. I have this set for 7:30 in the morning. Whoops. But at this time, this exact moon Jupiter on this first day, the moon is applying directly to this Jupiter aspect. So this is by like 2:30 in the afternoon. I think that first day they went in the morning because the news reports from the Thailand news that day was at 10:30 a.m. The first rescue operation was underway, and I think it was 11 hours later. So they probably came out sometime around 8 o'clock or in the evening or something that first day. And this was that first day, this was the transits when they set off and started the rescue mission. If they would have asked me as an astrologer, we ain't got a lot of time, when should we do this? I would have said Sunday. Right when I would have said to do it this day. Because this is the day when when the moon aspect applied to stationary Jupiter. So Jupiter is stationary direct in the sky, and the moon passes right over that aspect, and it's an applying aspect. You always want the faster moving planet to be applying to the slower moving planet. That means moon applying to Jupiter, okay? We also have Mars applying to Jupiter as well. This is a square, but this also shows the tension. But the moon is the trigger that shows the release. So this is the day that the rescue operation started. Other things to look at, moon is in Aries. Good sign for this. This is what Aries and Mars-ruled signs are good for. The courage to rescue kids and get in there and risk your life. You'd like to do it on Aries. You don't want to do it necessarily started in Pisces or even, Saturn-ruled signs where there could be some fear. It's one of the biggest problems they had with the mission is, just the emotionally traumatic potential was high. Not just for the kids, but for the divers, because the divers had to pull them through blind with these ropes. The kids could panic, the divers could panic, and you're dead. So Mars ruled Aries, let's do it. So this is the day that they did it, and they probably started sometime in the morning, like around this time. And then by the time they were done, you could see these degrees of the moon Again, look, the moon is 1552, Jupiter is 1914. This is how you look at degrees. It's exact degrees. By the time here, this is at 3:30 in the afternoon, still a couple degrees away, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30. See, it's almost exact applying aspect. As the divers are pulling the kids through the tunnel, this is what happens, or through the cave in this dark, cold water. This is what the transits were, okay? Mars was also aspecting because Mars cast his fourth house aspect. So this was also going on at this time when they started. Mars was also aspecting, giving courage. It's an exalted Mars. So there's definitely the courage shown to do it. So this was on the Sunday. And then, this is Monday. The moon is near its exaltation. Then by the midway point of Monday, the moon goes into his exalted sign on Monday, July the 9th. This past, or Sunday, or no, wait. Oh, sorry, it's Saturday. I got my days mixed up here. No, it was 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that's right. Okay, sorry, getting mixed up here. So Sunday, the 8, and then Monday the 9, and then Tuesday the 10. These are the 3 days. So by Tuesday they had them all out. This was in Thailand. This is Thailand time. And so by the end of it, it starts with the moon in the middle of Aries, then the moon at the end of Aries and the beginning of Taurus, then the moon in Taurus, where it's exalted. So that first day showed all that courage being fueled by the Mars energy and courage and power. That started it. And then you saw the last couple of days, you had the exalted moon being, prominent and bringing the journey home. So I thought it was a fascinating case study. Thankfully, it's good to report some good news in the world. And it was right before an eclipse. Again, very crazy sort of event that I think it shocked a lot of people. The odds, it looked so difficult, but they wound up doing it. But it's also fascinating because you can see it in the astrology for sure. Again, caves, a mountain cave is related to Capricorn because you have to have the mountain. The mountain has to do with Capricorn, perhaps Taurus, but a Taurus kind of cave would be something, maybe there's a hill or something smaller, something like this big mountain though, and this cave that goes in, this cave system with all that, that's definitely related to Capricorn. And then the holes in the landscape have to do with Mars and Ketu. So obvious. And again, the other kinds of holes in the earth or from the surface down, like deep holes in the earth, have more to do with Scorpio. Literally says it right in Brihat Parashara Sastra. When you drill down into the earth or a hole that's made by us, by people or something. But those caves are actually made by water, sort of boring down into a mountain. And it's from the, I think it's from a glacial melt. It's from the typhoons. It's not glacial. No, it's from typhoons, right? So you can really see it in the astrology. And I thought I would do is that true? One of the Navy SEALs did die in an attempt to deliver oxygen to the kids. I didn't know that. Wow. Okay. Thanks for telling me that. I didn't know that one of the Navy SEALs. Oh, that's right. I do remember that I think it was on the first day. That's right. I did remember that. Yeah, it was harrowing, dangerous mission. That's right. I do remember that now. I think that was before the mission started, if I'm not mistaken. Anyone have any questions about this? I'm going to see, I'm going to look and see. Okay, so July 6th. Okay, this is, I just said it. I just said it. I would have told them to wait. I said I wouldn't have done it when it was in Pisces, and that's when they did it. July 6th. I just looked. That's when it was reported. I said I wouldn't have done it in Pisces because it would be very dangerous. And that's when it happened. I'll show you. It says, here's the thing. July 6th. It says, take part in an effort. Petty officer lost consciousness on his way out of the cave complex where he'd been delivering air tanks. So it was July 6th, and the moon was in Pisces. And see, this is the, again, I'd forgotten someone died, but I even said, if someone would have asked me as an astrologer, when should we do it? I would have said that day. That's a good day to start, because you're going to get this exact opposition to Jupiter. It's going to be in Aries where there's more vitality. See that, and then you're going to get 2 days of exalted moon. I wouldn't have said Pisces. Again, you might think, why? Pisces, it's a gentle sign, it's this, it's that. You also don't have the aspect from Mars. The reason is because, again, there's also too much water. You want some fire, because one of the problems was drowning. And again, the water sign, he got stuck in the water, or he lost, he lost his way in the water. Lost consciousness on his way out. Just looking to see here. Yeah, so boy, how sad. Yeah, so this is why I would have said it. See, this is the benefit of those harsh signs. The oh yeah, that's right. Parm Gill, thank you. You're bringing so much good information. They kept calm. The coach was an experienced meditation teacher and apparently helped the children stay calm and help them reserve their oxygen. Thank you. I'm forgetting all these details. This is also one of the reasons why I've wanted to do this case study for a few days. And again, it also shows this Mars Ketu. I said a while ago, I don't know if anyone saw the video that I did with Mars Ketu, and it talked about facing your fear of death. It was a very intense video that I did. When Mars Ketu started, and everybody wants to get all upset and how hard it's going to be, and I said, yeah, it's going to be hard. It's real. It's a real thing. It's a real transit. It's a real intense thing, and it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to challenge you. It's going to challenge you to face your fear of death. And shortly thereafter, we had those suicides, Anthony Bourdain and that other person. The pain of death, the struggle, and the realization that you have to face your fear of death. Facing your death courageously was the Mars in Capricorn, Mars Ketu in Capricorn transit. And I said it's a real thing. I just put a link to the video. But I also talked about that the benefit of this Mars Ketu is spiritual practice, spiritual courage, emotional courage, and heroic and sort of heroism in the face of these kinds of, I say these kinds of situations. How often do you see people trapped in a cave, soccer team trapped in a cave with something like that? So this is coming because of K2, and we're right near this eclipse cycle. That's why you had this situation you never heard of before. See, this is what the nodes do. This is why it happened right near the eclipse. This is what eclipses do. This is what the lunar nodes are. They're things that are like singularities. Like you've never heard of anything like that before. That's why people who have a lot of nodal energy, who have a lot of planets join the nodes, or the nodes really prominent, they're like not of this world. They're like a singularity, like a totally unique person that you've never seen before. So when you get events that get near eclipses, it's just crazy things, like things shift really quickly all of a sudden. This is what happens around eclipses. Because they're things that are not of this world. That's what the nodes are. They're like not of this world. So you start seeing some situation that looks dire. Again, I would have probably made the prediction when I looked at it that I don't think it's going to work out. But I would have been wrong because I'm not taking into account the eclipses and that fantastic, crazy, amazing things happen around eclipses that you never heard of. And so, unfortunately, one person lost their life. Brave soul. All of them were extremely brave. I mean, can you imagine? I can't imagine giving up your life. Every one of those divers knew. I mean, they could have died by accident or by design. Just by design, they could have died. They could have just knowing that they're swimming in pitch black with a panicked kid behind them. And it just, not to mention by accident, like bumping their head, or, I mean, everything about the circumstances. And they got 12 kids out and the coach. And it was these heroic people. So here's the heroes, right? Let's hear it for them, for risking their life. So again, when you're looking to do something like that, you want some Aries energy, you want some Mars energy, you want some Scorpio energy, and you want some Jupiter's grace, saying somehow let's tap into some guru's grace here. And this Jupiter is really powerful because it's stationary direct. Again, all the things I'm talking about, all these factors line up to make this work, because who would have thought that would have ever been able to do that? If you haven't really looked into the logistics of what they had to do, look into it. It's incredible. I thought there was no way they were going to be able to do this. My rational mind was like, there's no way they're going to be able to do this. I wonder if they could ever do it again, quite honestly. If they had to do it again, I wonder if they could do it again. There was so much grace and luck flowing. And I mean, literally just the luck to not like bump your head in the dark and crack your skull without, or that the kid behind you doesn't panic and drown you. Or, I mean, there's so many things that could happen. You just can't imagine, just by accident. By accident, let alone by design, just because even just by design, like you saw, this one diver died. He wasn't trying to get any kids out. The one who died, it was just a harrowing experience. You're lucky to even be able to get through it, let alone to get through it yourself and pull 12 kids out. So we had a diver even die, and he wasn't even rescuing kids. He was just trying to deliver oxygen. He was just trying to get in it himself, and he died. And these are experienced people. So this is how dangerous that was. So anyway, it was a miracle upon miracles. And the astrology really shows it. So we'll wrap it up here. The case study is Capricorn caves, right? There's a Capricorn cave, which is a mountain cave. And there's Scorpio holes, which are holes like that you would drill. Like a well is drilled. Something that you drill into the earth is a Scorpio hole, like a man-made hole, or maybe like a shallow cave in the side of a hill or something. but then something deep underground under a big mountain and big mountain caves. They have to do with Capricorn. And then you'll also see probably where some water sort of carved out the cave. But this whole Mars Ketu shows this this intense activity and heroism trying to rescue these kids from a mountain cave. And you saw at the moment, at the almost maybe the only moment that they could have set out and to have pulled this thing off, they actually did it. Again, this is how you can see God's grace flowing. Because I'm sure they weren't using astrologers. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't think so. Well, if they would, they wouldn't have sent that guy in. It's very sad that someone lost their life. But right at that time, when this moon was applying to stationary Jupiter, the moon was in Aries, courage, the strength to get it done. And then the next couple days, you had the moon at the end of Aries going into Taurus, and then the moon in Taurus. They probably learned a lot. They probably perfected the technique or whatever. The first time was the scariest, and then they kind of figured it out how to do it, I guess, and how to bring them through, and they got it done. So good news, a miraculous story, totally shown by the astrology. And again, let's not forget this thing, you'll never hear about it again. This is not something that you're going to hear probably that often. It probably happens more maybe than we know, but they happen to find them. Probably, kids in Thailand sometimes just disappear, and that's where they've disappeared, into caves. It's probably not that unusual, but to find them and then to get them out, this is the whole kind of Rahu eclipse thing that and it shows you the greatness of the nodes as well. Don't ever get into this black and white idea that the nodes are just bad. They bring incredible, miracles as well in people. They can give a miraculous intelligence and awareness as well. So beautiful case study. And I hope you enjoyed this. And anybody has a question, I'll wait for a second and see if you have any questions. Guess I can wait. See if anybody has any questions. There's a little lag. Well, you're welcome. So we'll just leave it at that. Okay.